Welcome to our panel discussion today. My name is Britton Lawson. I'm a little bit about myself. I'm with Britton Company out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. We are a specialty contractor. And today here we have three panelists that have some background in machine control. If each one of you guys could introduce yourselves and a little bit about yourselves, about your company. Adam, let's start with you.
My name's Adam Pieper. I own Blue Top Excavating. We're a small excavating contractor out of Southeast Iowa. We do mostly smaller commercial projects and a little bit of residential work. I've got 7 full-time employees and 2 part-time. I've been in business for going on 6 years and been using TopCon GPS for about 4.
Awesome. Sean, why don't we go to you?
Hey, I'm Sean Coghlan. I own Shamrock Earthworks up here in Canada. And we've been in business since '07. And we're running Trimble Earthworks on one excavator right now. Been moving from 2D to 3D. We do some skate parks, rock retaining walls, acreage development, that sort of thing.
Awesome. Jim, last but not least.
Hey, Jim Seelman with MBA Incorporated. I'm co-owner of MBA. We do ball field construction, pretty much any type of ball field, any type of grading. We've been in business since about '96, been in ball field since about 2000, and we do 3D imaging, and we've had 3D for about 7 years.
Awesome. There's a lot of cool things that we get to do on a daily basis. So let's talk about some of the coolest projects that you guys have been involved in. Sean, what have you got?
Well, I think the biggest potential that we're seeing with grade control is we just started working with a skate park builder several years ago here in Calgary. So with the 2D, it's great because we get it helps with the drainage and some elevations and whatnot, but the potential for 3D there is amazing. If they could just send me a file and we could dig it without stakes, that saves them a ton of time. On a 10-day project, they generally come out 4 times to survey for us. They'd have a stripping survey, a drainage survey, and then a build-up survey, and then a trimming survey. So, saving all that time for them, and also for us, we'd probably save, a day or 2, and we'd get more accurate grades, and it's kind of a no-brainer for that side of it.
Yeah, and Sean, you have a little bit of a background in tilt rotators, and you're incorporating that aspect to that. Could you share a little bit more on how that's helping with coupled with the machine control in the skate parks?
Yeah, I think being able to work with the tilt rotators is key because we had the tilt rotator before we had the grade control. So, having them all work together is, if you can sit in one spot and you're not always trying to square up with your work, the tilt rotator it's pretty amazing. If you haven't used one before, you should check them out too. But being able to have it show up on screen like it is in, when the bucket's on a 45 and it's rotating, and it's definitely key to have the two working together. So
I got to imagine it's a huge benefit with skate parks and all the angles and different grades and everything else that you have to deal with. So I got to imagine it's a huge time saver.
Yeah, like you can imagine the grading plan for a skate park. There's just endless different angles and planes and curves and grades all kind of coming together. So being able to position the bucket any way you want, and then you can see that position showing up on your tablet in the cab, and then once we move up into 3D and automatics, that's just going to get our accuracy and the finish that we're going to leave for them that much better. So,
yeah, awesome. In an application like that, being the so many angles and stakes, how did you used to do that project, or how would you have done that without grade control? Have you ever take the time to think about that?
Yeah, I mean, right now that's kind of how it's going right now. So they'll come out with a 2-guy survey team, and they'll use their total station and lay us out all the stakes. We strip it. They come out again, lay us out more stakes for inverts and catch basins and all the drainage, and then we go dig that. which the 2D helps with for drainage. And then they come out again and we do a build up. There's just a lot of manual measuring. You're always trying to offset stakes so that you can do the work, but then come back, measure back off your offsets and see where you're at. So there's a lot of error that starts coming up when you're, offsetting stakes all the time and trying to measure back to them. And the time that we spend out of the machines trying to get our grades and painting lines on the ground, it's time consuming.
Yeah, I can only imagine. It's going to be a huge benefit for you. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jim, you do a lot of ball field construction. I imagine there's some really, really cool projects you're involved in. What's one that comes to mind that really you've saved some time on and machine control's been a huge benefit for you?
Well, it's hard to pick one, but one that comes to mind would be like University of Iowa practice football. It was unique because the timetable was so close, and we had 3 weeks to do basically 2 practice fields and everything around them. It was just what you can do with the grade control was just amazing.
Yeah, and your application is unique in itself because the tolerances are so tight and within the turf industry. And so what did you grade before technology? How were you achieving those grades, and how much time has it started to save you now that you've incorporated technology into your workflows?
Well, it used to be when we were bidding, we would kind of stay away from baseball and softball because laser grading is typically what we did.
Yeah.
Well, on a baseball or softball field, you might have 7 or 8 or maybe even a dozen different setups to get laser where you want it on a, because of the crown of a field or something. Now it's one setup.
Right.
And repeatability was always a problem. We had scopes on our lasers and everything else to get them so we set on exactly the same point, leave the tripod out, but still the next day was hard to repeat. Now everything we do is repeatable. And basically, if we can build it on the screen, we can build it out there on the job site.
Yeah, absolutely. One challenge for smaller contractors and even larger contractors is the model is a 3D model. Some people are doing it in-house, some people are doing it outsourcing those models. How are you doing your models? Are you doing them in-house or are you outsourcing them?
We do pretty much, unless it's a bid project where an architect is involved, we build all of our own programs. And I don't know about TopCon and as far as Trimble, how they are, but Leica is very friendly as far as their tablet goes. We can build some really complicated surfaces in our tablet.
Oh, so you're building all your surfaces right on your tablet?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. So that brings up a whole new concept as far as your infield design. So you're taking that aspect of the office workflow out of the equation and creating everything in the field.
We can do. We'll spend some time in the office, maybe if it's a big project, creating it. But it all starts for us on the project, where we'll do our initial survey. Because the neat thing about total station is when you're trying to match anything around you, you can just match everything around you.
Right.
It's not close. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And so as far as matching, so it starts in the field. It might end up with somebody on a tablet or himself on a tablet for a while, and then take it right back out to the field. But what we found is when we first got going, is if we had to wait for the guy, if we had a problem with a grade, all of a sudden, hey, a fire hydrant ain't supposed to be out of the ground 5 feet. In architects, you always have that issue where there's something they missed or something's different. Well, now we can change it right on the fly. We can change it, put it in the program, and we're rolling right again. So we just didn't like that downed, so we knew at that time that we had to do our own program building.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Adam, you're a smaller contractor. You got the one unit. What projects have you've been exposed to, and where have you seen the benefits on it?
One thing that's kind of taken off in our area finally is recreational trails. We've done a handful of those over the last few years. We're in the middle of one right now. It's just short of 2 miles long. Of that 2 miles, there's probably 400 feet that is a straight grade. Everything else is vertical curves and horizontal curves and transitions in the cross slope. And the GPS has really saved us on projects like that.
Awesome. So what, going through the woods and going through when you talk about horizontal and vertical curves, when you think back of how you used to do that project, and how many stakes were involved, I mean, can you put a time frame on how much time it's saving between staking and grading and putting grade right the first time?
Well, it saves the stakers half the time, because I mean, if they go out and put stakes out for us and we got to strip sod and we got to grade, and pretty soon half their stakes are gone, so they got to come back out and do it for the paving contractor. So it's saving the survey crew half their time. From our aspect, I would say a section that we would have to grade off of paving hubs, it would take us a day with the GPS. What would take us a day with the GPS would probably take us 2 to 3 days grading it with paving hubs and a rotating laser.
Oh, so you're saving days on just one project.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. Are there any unforeseen benefits that you've seen? So obviously it's nice to be able to grade the first time, but are there any other benefits that you're like, technology has really opened your eyes to in that application on your sidewalks or the trails?
One thing that I've seen is it actually can find issues with control points. We've had some issues where things aren't adding up, control points are wrong, and nobody can quite figure out what's going on with the control points or why things aren't tying into the existing conditions the way they should be. And on the TopCon rover, you can, when you're localizing, you can select what control points you want to use and what aspects of which control points you want to use. So if you look at a control point that you've localized to and it's way off, you can kick part of that control point out and then it'll bring everything back in instead of trying to figure out what's going on with the control points.
Awesome. So, it's a big speed bump. I'm going to kind of go into our next question here. It's a big speed bump to kind of get over to that initial investment into technology, financially and just for learning curve. So can you guys all share, Adam, again, we'll start with you. Your first step into getting into that, what brought you there and why did you make that first step into investing into machine control?
The big thing was everybody I was bidding against was using machine control. We were a new company and there was a lot of things that we needed. I had a pretty good salesman for the local Komatsu dealer that I was working with, and he knew that I was in the market and wanted to do something someday, but wasn't quite ready to make the leap. So he just told me, he says, I'm going to bring a base station out to your next project, and I'm going to bring a integrated dozer out to your next project, and you're going to try it, no strings attached. And that's what he did. And I ended up buying the base and rover from him, just as a starting point. Later that year, I rented a integrated dozer from him. And then the next year I bought a used dozer from him.
Awesome. Jim, you've been doing this for 25 years. What got you over that speed bump to go, we need to do this, we need to make the jump?
We were in laser for a long time before that. I won't say GPS or total station is more accurate than laser, because you just don't really get much more accurate than laser. But what it did for us is labor savings. It was really hard to find people who wanted to work the hours that we want to work. We have a short window, so we've got to get a lot done in a short amount of time. And it was the labor savings, and again came down to our specs were tightening up. We were, typically when we were laser grading, you had a quarter inch per quarter inch was our tolerance. Kind of because of us, actually, it got to it's an eighth of an inch. And sure. An eighth of an inch is one thing, but an eighth of an inch of plan grade, that's a really tough spec to make. And with total station, we just do not have any problem with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean, you also are small and very, very flexible. So how did what pushed you over the edge?
Well, I think some of the social media stuff is, you start to see what other guys, the level of accuracy they're getting with these systems and whatnot. So we, like everybody else, efficiency is the name of the game. So if you can dig a basement in 7 hours instead of 10 hours, well, you can add up how much time that's saving you, and you can use that time for whatever you want. You can go do more jobs, or you can go home and spend more time with your family. So, we started getting into that. And then I think one of the more unexpected things that once we had the system up here, our water lines are down about 8 feet. So our septic tanks, the bottom of the tank is usually down, probably 17 feet by the time the drain line gets out of the basement. So if you're digging a hole that's 17 feet deep, you want to keep it, fairly, as small as you can for the tank to just fit in there. But nobody wants to go down into a hole that's 17 feet deep with a shot rod and be standing there and shooting grade for you. So I think safety wise is one of the biggest things for us, is that you don't have to put a guy down in those deep trenches or in the deep holes. So that was one of the big things. And then also you're freeing up a guy. So if you always have a laborer down there shooting grade for you, you don't need that guy anymore. So he can be off doing other things. He can be running another machine for you. He can be on another site, making your money somewhere else. He can be doing a bit of layout, or, there's a million things on a job that guy could be doing. So that's where we kind of got into it. And then some of the other benefits we realized once we did get into it, and now we're seeing the benefits of, 3D, the potential of 3D. So we're working our way up there. It is a big financial, bullet to take right up front. So.
Yeah, with technology, it's a cost that you see go out the door. But at the end of the day, you're still spending that money before even the investment. So you're able to reallocate those funds. So I think it's cool to see that you as small contractors have really grasped the concept and seen the benefits in it. So kind of growing on that, as far as this is kind of a question to whomever wants to answer, but has machine control really allowed you to take on a different application that wasn't originally your core business? Were you able to find benefits in that you could do something because of machine controller technology?
Well, I think we're just getting stuff done faster, so it frees us up to do more volume of work. I don't think we went into anything different per se. Like the skate parks, we'll be able to obviously expand on those and do them a bit faster, but once we have 3D on the machines, I think we'll be able to possibly, most of the big contractors in town are all running, 3D GPS on their whole fleets. So, if they could see that we have the same setup as they do, then maybe there's an opportunity to subcontract some work with them, and they can send us the files. They know that it's going to get done properly and quickly and to grade in their design that they send us. So it's another opportunity that could be coming down the road.
Awesome. Jim, you kind of shared one. Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, we like to general contract a lot of jobs. We're probably smaller than everybody else on the panel. We're only my wife and myself and our daughter, and all three are operators, and that's pretty much our business. But we do all kinds of size of project. We'll do a $300 job, or we'll do a $3 million job. And this technology has allowed us to do that. We're not too scared. But what was the question again? I'm sorry.
Oh, has it enabled you to do other things with outside of the core side of your business? So you had shared earlier that you were sticking to kind of the soccer, football, and now you've expanded into baseball and softball.
We could spend our whole summer grading ahead of concrete guys if we wanted to. There's such a demand. I mean, the concrete guys behind this stuff on a parking lot or anything else, they're setting forms and pouring, or they're using 3D and pouring it right behind us. And honestly, we could fill our whole schedule up with that if that's what we so wanted to do. And we do quite a bit of it. I mean, it doesn't with 3D. The 3D, it doesn't matter if there's catch basins out there, if there's anything you're trying to match. 3D just kind of takes care of it all.
Awesome. Adam, do you have an application that you've moved into?
There's one thing that I'm kind of playing with a little bit right now. I've got an uncle that farms in a really flat river bottom, and he's got one spot in a field that doesn't have very good drainage. So he wanted me to come out and topo with the 4-wheeler and see what it looks like, send that off and see if I get a file made for it. So that's one thing. As I'm doing that for him, I'm thinking, well, if this works out and we can make this happen for him, he's going to pick up 15 acres of property that he can farm now that used to just sit underwater, and maybe I could start marketing that to other people as well.
Yeah, so you're actually getting into the agriculture side of things then a little bit, and opening up a new market for yourself. Trying
to, yes.
Oh, that's awesome. So, well, some of the fun things with technology is just like, Sean, you shared it a little bit with social media in terms of the things that you're able to see. What are you guys hearing out there? How have other people used it, the technology for different applications that you're like, I never really thought of that. Sean, I know you shared rock walls. It's something I've never thought of. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, when we're doing a rock wall, it's usually on an acreage, fair size house being built. There's lots of room to spread out there. And so having, even just the 2D with the rock walls, usually you'd be out there with your measuring tape and your laser level and your guide doing all the layout, and everything is always relative to the house. You're always just trying to make everything drain away from the house and, level off the grades so you can have usable yard space and whatnot. So we program the grapple in kind of in an odd way, but it works for us. So you can spin the grapple sideways and use it as like a bubble level, or you can just touch the grapple on the top of the wall, all across the wall, and you can see where it's at. So you're not, a lot of the times you're just out there by yourself building those walls. So instead of jumping in and out of the machine, 30 times an hour checking grade, you can just sit there and do it all from the cab, and it's kind of going to be bang on. So you can throw a stair in and check and see if it's level and keep going. So works great.
That's awesome
too. So,
well, it's got to be huge time saving in that. I built walls back in the day, and I never even thought of that application. That's awesome.
Yeah. You can just sit in one spot and do the whole job, and then you get out and every once in a while and check and make sure you're still on, and it's great.
Stretch your legs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jim or Adam, you guys got anything that you're hearing out there that you like?
There's a lot of neat stuff. I mean, we see a lot of different things. I mean, one thing that was mentioned earlier is there's just nothing in your way. There's not a stake in your way. I think all of us agree that is such a benefit when you're on a job site where there's just nothing in your way. You guys maybe have seen like the University of Iowa Hawkeyes, their wave that they do at the end of the quarter as far as to the children's hospital. Okay, if you've seen the snow wave, it was a snowstorm about like we had today, and the university called us one night. He says, "Hey, can you design a hand in the middle of Kinnick football stadium?" Well, I never tried it. I guess we probably could. So we designed a hand. That's just one of the neater fun things you see. There's a football field covered with snow in the middle of January. There's not a football or a track across it, except where some construction worker went across it, walked across it the day before. But here we snow blow this hand out. The guy with the snow blower is walking right behind us with the rover, and boom! Next thing you know, it's on ESPN. But just fun things like that. You can do with it. You can, like I said, if you can design it on the tablet, you can build in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Adam, do you have anything out there that you're fascinated with?
I think it's all fascinating. It's all relatively new to me. I've just got the one unit, and I'm just always got my eye open on what else is out there and what else is going on, and trying to learn it and figure it out as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're about at our time limit here, so I just want to say thank you guys for being a part of the panel. You guys had some great insight and great perspectives, and I really appreciate the conversation. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.